Am I going to be covered in goopy birth juice today? Doesn't matter. It'll burn off and warp.
Captain's Pod, Stardate 710323.1 probably. Welcome aboard the Starship's Enterprise and thank you for joining us as we take a brief shore leave from the world of CinemaSins to explore the universe of Star Trek. I'm your Captain Ian Whittington, and with me as always, every day is beheading day for her. It's Ambassador Deneé.
What do you rip heads off of? Just, like in your life?
People?
Oh, okay. That's a lot.
Oh, in my life?
Yeah, that was a real question. But you know what? That just reveals a lot about you.
Yep.
Learning a lot about you today, Captain.
Yep. Interesting things are happening.
Just slowly backing towards the back wall, just to get out the little door, into the little tube, over to the shuttle bay. Get the fuck off your ship!
Run! I have an answer for this. Funko Pops. So, I have a lovely Vax'ildan Funko Pop from Vox Machina from Critical Role Dungeons and Dragons. Now, some of these Funko Pops, can you hear that? They rattle because some of them have things inside their heads and you can split them open and it will be like a little brain and it will be something else. I'm not kidding. You're looking at me like I'm insane. This is a thing. So always shake your Funko Pops, and if they rattle, it's not because they're broken. There's something in their head. But I cannot bring myself to slice open Vax's head. I can't do it.
Well, that's why you should give it to me, and I'll just do it for you. Because as you said in the introduction, I am a beheader.
Yeah. But I want to know what's in this head.
Give it to me. Hand it to me now. Through the screen. Do it.
Through the screen. That's how that works. Done. Nice. How is it? Brains. How are you, Ambassador?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Amazing. I'm good. You excited for episode 4 of Star Trek Picard?
Yes, I am. I'm very curious how this story is progressing. I feel like last episode was a nice bit of getting to know the crew in interesting ways.
Baby LaForge.
But not a lot of this is going to sound crazy. I want some more action.
Are you kidding me? The portals? Worf?
But it only happened a few times.
But the
want
suspense.
The whole thing. The entire thing is just a space battle.
A torpedo was blown up by a phaser beam. How much more action do you want? No, I get it. So this is one of I was thinking this over the last week. It's one of the issues with the Nebula space battle thing. We are about, geographically and in time, 10 meters and a couple of hours from where we were in episode 1. So over the course of 3 episodes, we haven't progressed geographically or linearly in time much. So even though I love what's happening, it kind of is 7 episodes left, and are we going to be in the same hour?
Yeah, it feels like, and maybe instead of action, momentum is the right word. But
yeah, momentum's a good word. Yeah.
At this point is when the foundation of the show should kind of be established. The characters should sort of feel familiar enough for us to confidently be going on whatever journey the writers want us to go on. And now I want it to begin to feel like we're going somewhere. And I would like to remember what my stakes are a little bit. I'd also, I'm hoping this doesn't turn into a family drama this episode.
That was one of my concerns from episode 1. I'm hoping not. I don't think it will. But I can see that being a direction that it accidentally ends up going. But
because we're trying to tie up some stuff, right? There's the big mystery of who the real big bad is here, which now we know that there are squishy people behind the scenes.
Changelings.
That's them. Thank you. And so we've got those guys, which is Dominion and bad stuff, you know?
Yep, correct.
But we still have the Captain Cigar. She's still out there with her...
Vadik.
Yeah. She's still there. We still have even Rafi and Worf in episode 2. I think I started off my notes saying, I guess we're still on this planet with Rafi. And then last episode was we're still on this planet with Rafi, because I thought that maybe Worf and her were going to leave to go do some sort of investigation work someplace else, but then they had to stay on that planet to continue to look at the seedy underbelly. So I'm wondering if they're going to be leaving that set and exploring other places potentially.
Well, we know that they're on their way to the Daystrom Institute now, so we know that they're going to be moving.
Is this the Geordie LaForge episode?
No, because he's at the Fleet Museum.
God damn it!
I don't think we're getting him until later on. Maybe like 6 or 7.
What are we even doing, guys?
Right. You had LaForge and you didn't put him in there. You blew it.
Do you know how much this person on screen would mean to everyone? Like, get me Geordie! Sorry.
We have Worf, you greedy woman. If we had Geordie and they were holding on to Worf, you'd be like, give me Worf!
I would. Yeah,
yep.
I would. No, it's fun. I want to see everybody back together, and I want to do it before the last episode.
Totally. And I think that's going to happen.
You do?
I think we will be. Yeah.
Okay.
Of course. We're going to have. I'm certain we're going to have like them all around a conference table, and Picard doing like a big speech and coming up with a plan, and they're going to try and emulate, I think, as much of like the TNG shit that we like. And if this doesn't end with another poker. This is one of my predictions, and I'm going to stick it in now instead of at the end of the show.
Okay.
There's going to be another poker game between all of them, and that'll be like all good things. They're still going to end on a poker match.
Okay, I'm going to go with the prediction too. Everyone on the board is dead after falling into this gravity well, right? Everyone's dead.
On the board? Oh, across the board?
Everyone across. Yeah, anyone that's on that ship across the board, all of the people, they are dead. Okay. So everything moving forward.
Yep.
Is just their fever dream as their brains die.
I mean, always possible. It was always a dream. Is always possible.
So it's like inside Picard's mind as he's dying, and he's going through like what he wishes would have happened.
That was season 2. We've been inside his brain. We don't want to do it again.
But there's a cool dungeon in his brain.
Yeah. No. Interestingly, on the Titan being sucked into the well, the whatever it is, I had no idea that my belief that the Shrike is going to rescue them would be so controversial. There has been discussions and comments and even text messages thrown at me because apparently that'll be disappointing or it just doesn't make sense. And I'm like, how does this not make sense?
It doesn't make sense.
The Shrike comes in and rescues them.
Why would the Shrike put them in that position to then rescue them?
Because the Shrike knows more about... Vadic knows more about the nebula than she's letting on. She needs Crusher alive. Why would she let him die?
Because she's delivered him to where she was supposed to deliver him through that move, is my prediction.
How did she know they were going to go into the nebula?
Because she set up the whole trap.
She did not.
She totally did.
She didn't know the Titan was coming in. The Titan could have fucked off. It is presuming so much that Shaw is going to throw caution to the wind and come in and save the day.
But maybe she would have done it to the original ship.
No, because possible. But then why send the boarding party in? If you need them in the nebula, why send the boarding party onto the ship to get Jack? Why try to beam him out?
Okay, so go with me here.
Yeah.
They would have taken Jack, put him in a little spacey suit, and then just launched him down the tube.
And then throw him into the... Well, fine.
I don't know. We can make up whatever we want.
Just into the planet. Yeah.
We can make up whatever we want right now. But I am excited to see it. To answer your question, yes, I'm excited for it.
I think that's one of the big mysteries that we're holding on to at the minute is why does Vadic want Crusher? And that's, I think, the bit of momentum we're missing that I'm pretty sure is going to come in this episode. Like, they've managed to do a lot.
I did have a theory about him having like Borg stuff in his and he was being tracked by like nanobites or something. I think that's probably wrong at this point, but maybe we'll see. I don't know. Let's watch it.
It's possible.
Let's watch it. Let's watch it.
Enough predictions. Let's go. We will see you all in 10 Forward after we've watched season 3, episode 4 of Picard, No Win Scenario, which is the name of the episode. We didn't even talk about that, and now we're not going to. Two to beam out. Welcome to 10 Forward, the part of the show where we grab a drink from the replicator and share our immediate thoughts and feelings on the episode we just watched. Most important question first, what's your beverage of choice?
I'm just going to say the first thing that comes to mind, and I know that I'm judged for it, and I appreciate everyone's... It's just, space amniotic fluid.
Oh, Deneé.
It's the first thing that popped into my mind. I keep forgetting to think about this. It should be Picard's wine.
Thing.
The wine was in this episode. I should say
Chateau
wine.
Picard.
I just thought about it now. I didn't think about it earlier, and I just
glass of Chateau Picard.
Off of instinct.
Yeah, good. Follow that instinct. It's much more entertaining.
So gross.
I will drink anything other than CinemaSins because Unlike Jack Crusher, I do not like cheap whiskey. But yes, if you thought you weren't prepared for the beverage of choice, give us the plot synopsis.
Oh, shit.
1 week. 1 week to
God.
have this plan.
Okay. In this episode of Picard, we find out that this gravity well is actually a birth canal. And by the end of the episode, everyone is asking, am I going to be covered in goopy birth juice today? Doesn't matter. It'll burn off and warp. Also, we discovered that Ian's prediction about the bad guys saving the good guys almost came true. Shaw, still alive, still a dick. And potentially the most important part of this episode is that Star Trek reveals that, by golly, they can make our favorite characters curse, and they just go all out. With the mention of cannabis, asshole, dickhead, fuckwad,
dipshit,
turtlebutt, dipshit. Yeah, all kinds of things happen here. Are they going to die? Probably someday, but not this episode. That's it.
Great. Perfect. Great synopsis. Ambassador, thoughts and feelings on this week's episode? Gut reaction.
I'm still trying to understand if I covered everything in my forgot about again synopsis. Okay.
Oh, you forgot to mention Worf and Raffi.
Oh, thank God. That's why I like this episode so much. They weren't in it. Oh, now it's all making sense now.
You dick.
No, if we were cutting away to Worf and Raffi in this episode, I would have felt it because
I think that's
had
smart
so much going on. There's no place for that. I'm glad that they focused on the main storyline.
The tension was on point.
In this
it was
one.
really good.
Yeah. I think the only things I didn't really cover in the synopsis was that the goopy guy is still on the loose, technically. No, goopy guy's dead.
Wait, what?
Goopy guy's
no,
dead.
Goopy guy died. Goopy died
Definitely,
super dead.
She charged up the phaser a little bit more this time.
Yeah.
And Seven killed her friend, which is cool. The face of her friend. I think that's the only thing I don't think we covered very well.
No, I think you got it all. They were in the nebula. Nebula is a baby. The contractions push out the Titan.
Overall thoughts and feelings. I enjoyed this episode. I think I liked it because we stayed inside the ship a little bit and I wasn't kind of being pulled out and about, but at the same time I was also being pulled out and about in odd ways. Like we still cut back and forth to different parts of the ship, sometimes in my opinion, sinful ways. And I'll get to that at some point, I'm sure. But yeah, we really needed to solve this problem. And I thought that they did some interesting stuff to solve that problem. I don't think that any of us thought that they were actually going to let this crew die, although I've joked about it many, many times. So the question was always, how are they going to get out of it? And choosing to have the crew use their years of expertise and their togetherness and their wits and their stuff like this, like that was fun. It was fun to kind of watch, them solve the problem in that unique way that Star Trek solves problems.
Very TNG solution.
I don't know what happens after this. This is clearly like the end to this part because this is sort of how everything started, right? Like Beverly and Jack were in trouble. Picard and Riker essentially stole a shuttle, grabbed a ship, left. Like they've been doing a lot of stuff. So now it's them returning back to potentially, I mean, if everything, who knows what they're going to do next, but they have this chance now to shift from what they are doing into the next, which of course is going to involve following the crumb trail or goop trail to figure out how this changeling was on the ship prior to even coming across Jack. And I think that's the only tie that we potentially have for where they're going to go next is what was really happening, on the ship. I thought it was also interesting this episode that they really let Shaw go unhinged. So I'm curious where they're going to take that. But yeah, overall thoughts and feelings, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed this episode quite a lot.
Me
actually.
too. I really, really loved it. You could say it's an episode of 2 parts where you have like a lot of exposition of Picard and Jack reconnecting, or connecting, really. Shaw giving away why he hates the admirals. So Admiral and Captain. Riker and Picard reconciling a bit, Riker dealing with some demons, and then shifting into the solution to the problem and a classic TNG, get us out of here, do something bonkers, dismantle part of the ship, save the day, and then Space Wonder is how we end the episode. But it was incredible. This had one of my it is immediately in the top 10, probably top 5 visuals of all time Star Trek, other franchises, anywhere. This episode was beautiful. There was like so many cool shots and cool special effects in this episode. It just gave me all of the Star Trek warm fuzzies. I love it. Like it was a great, if we had more of a setup in the beginning, this could have been a great standalone episode of TNG where we have this problem, the solution, and then how they get out of it. You had conference table planning shenanigans that I absolutely loved, but the kind of the crux of the episode that I love so much was the writing again. It's written so well, and the themes that go through the episode are super duper powerful. It's dealing with what could be cliche topics, but in a non-cliche way. So there's some really original ways of getting through some of these thought patterns and some of these relationships that we've seen before. There's just some really emotional beats that really hit home with me, and then went straight into popcorn. I love TNG. So yeah, really just continues to be a really, really, really strong season.
Yeah, I think they're doing a good job of developing some characters, figuring out how they all tie together. And there were so many moments in this episode where I was like, man, I'm really feeling the emotion that this actor is giving this character right now. Yeah. Jack,
especially Riker.
Jack, Riker, Shaw. They had some really deep moments in this episode. The hatred in Shaw's eyes toward Picard was intense. And I believed it. I believe this character is he's an asshole. He's an asshole in charge. And that's a powerful type of a character to just latch onto, this unapologetic person. He does apologize in a very backhanded way. He's like, sorry guys, I don't remember the quote. But
at some point, I substituted charm with being an asshole. Or being an asshole replaced my charm.
Yeah. Forgive me, at some point, asshole became a substitute for charm, which I thought was really clever. But, he's really confidently himself. You have Riker revealing the mystery of, why did he leave Deanna? And then they give it a name. She was really bothered by his lack of emotion, which, I mean, I don't know, as an empath, wouldn't it be kind of a nice break to have somebody who can just not be giving off emotion? I don't know. I'm not one.
I think it might be worrying when that lack of emotion comes from your dead son.
Yes, okay. But that's how some people grieve. And I also thought that was a really good thing for the episode to hit on a bit, is that people grieve differently. And, they have Riker kind of apologizing for it at the end, which I don't know that I agree with that. I think that there is a place to show that some people have a hard time grieving, or they grieve in a very distanced way. And he's re-engaging with that not being healthy at this point. He's recognizing that he needs to move into actively trying to kind of understand his own way of grieving. And that I understand apologizing for. But I don't, he's on instinct before that. And I don't know. Yeah. That was a nice reveal that also trickles into him resigning at the beginning of the episode. He's resigned that, hey, we're dead in the water, man. We're about to die. So go get your shit together, friend. Let's just put this behind. They didn't have the big argument about who was right in the last episode. Riker kind of yelled at him. Isn't it? They just you know what? We're dying. So, I'm going to go get my shit together. You go get your shit together. And
that is one of my, I think we'll stay in that moment because Jonathan Frakes is doing some acting. This is the best Riker acting that I think we've ever seen. The moments with the log that he's trying to send to Deanna, his honesty with her at the end of the episode, he's dealing with genuine stuff. And I think it's more that he was apologizing for what she has had to go through in putting up with how he's been grieving, and that he's now ready to face it a bit more. But it felt really sincere. It felt really heartfelt. I bought into it. Yeah. And I get this journey and this arc that he's going on now. Just incredible acting.
Yeah, they did a good job of bringing that to life. More of Riker brought to life. More of Shaw. I mean, I don't want to stick on Shaw for too long, but going back to Shaw, his hatred and his survivor's guilt and his
oh man,
just to give him depth. He doesn't just have to be the flat, non-dimensional character that just hates for no hatred.
Just the asshole. Yeah.
The development of storytelling in these mediums has been so fun to watch because they know that in just short bursts of sentences, they can give some depth to some people. And here, Shaw talked about just, I don't know, you got to kind of open up and see the turmoil that he's in and being one of the 10 to survive a massacre of 11,000 people. And that was like, whoa, shit, you know? And then you've got Jack.
Big.
And then we have Jack, who is emoting really interestingly. There's many times throughout this episode leading up to the end, which reveals that Jack had attempted to meet Picard 5 years previous. And it hadn't gone quite well because...
Oh, I love that so much.
It was such a juicy bit of storytelling because the whole time I'm like, why are we doing this 5 years ago thing? It just felt out of place because the only thing tying it to the moment, to the here and now, might be that Picard once had a nice speech to a bunch of, new Starfleet kids that saw him and were like super excited to see Picard. And Picard
the asteroid mission thing.
Yeah, and Picard is talking about his, he's giving them like the speech and this encouragement, and it kind of relates to what's happening now. And that's the only tie until the very end when they reveal that Jack actually asked Picard a question about having additional is there more than Starfleet? And Picard's answer is Starfleet's all I've ever needed, which insinuates that Jack kind of felt like he had his answer. He didn't want to meet his dad at that point because Starfleet's all he needed.
He doesn't want a son. He doesn't want a family, doesn't need it.
And they also built that Jack is okay with being alone. And they're really hitting that theme of like you're watching Jack kind of wrestle with emotion. And the whole time, like I was saying, sprinkled throughout, I'm kind of curious, what emotion is Jack feeling? Because I don't quite understand it just yet. Is he confused?
Do you mean the final scene?
No. Just the whole in the beginning, and then in the end, when they reveal that scene, then his turmoil begins to really make sense, and the rest of the episode just lights up for me. And then it goes into the mystery of why he's having what is he experiencing? What the fuck is going on with Jack that he is having these strange flashes of something? He's being called by some group with some weird what is the Stranger Things, the upside down, it's just got this vibe going on.
It does have an upside down thing happening. That is, I think it's my favorite part of the episode, of what is an incredible episode. So many great moments, but that reveal that Jack is there, and that really powerful question that is being asked anonymously, and Picard just is getting, Jack is getting a gut level response from him. Yeah. Because Picard doesn't know who he is. It's a great way to get an honest answer from somebody you're trying to work out if we need this moment. And it's mirrored so well in Jack's approach to Picard during the holodeck scene, which is, I don't need this moment.
Keep it light.
Don't do this if you think it's something for me, because I'm honestly good, and I'm not saying that to be a dick. I genuinely am fine. And I love that because he's trying to bring some science to it. It's like, do I need this man in my life? Okay, let's go and see what he has to say. Does he need me? And I do love Picard's response, which is, I was begging him to say this, okay, maybe I need it. Be honest and say,
thank you for
it's
doing
not
that.
For you, this is for me. I am so happy.
I like that too.
They went that route.
A lot. I like that a lot. I felt like it was a completely appropriate thing, and it was needed because Picard needs to come to the place where he knows that he is motivated by this curiosity of having a son, because this is his first time to know. He hasn't known for 23, 24 years. So that character needs that, curiosity. And then also Picard seems to have that reveal at the end that he remembers Jack asking that question. And I don't know if it's intended, but it certainly is implied.
Kind of. But I love that last piece of that is it's so well put together. It's Jack looking around the bridge, Picard giving that speech, which talking about how the crew becomes your family, how Starfleet is your family. 5 years ago, Jack in the past is taking that as fine, cool, I'm not needed. But then you have Jack in the present day who is like, I get it. I understand now. He still may not agree, but after living through that experience, he has a new understanding for why Picard does see these people as his family. And just, man, how to get an entire character arc in the space of minutes from Jack presenting Picard to, I get it. I get it. I get why this is your family. I get why you maybe think you don't need anything more than this. It's so well done.
It's
what a
so
great
well done.
theme.
Like huge props to me, to the writers, because I didn't feel like it was forced. I felt like there had been enough information in the previous episodes to qualify that Jack was distant and now Jack is curious. It showed that moment of him 5 years ago at the bar. He is a 20, a young 20-year-old, late teen, something like that. And it had that vibe of a kid that's curious about his dad. And that's still present, I feel, in how the actors kind of bring this character to life. And so maybe it's like awakening a little bit. And I don't know. It was a powerful episode for me. There was some things I didn't like about it, of course, because that's how everything that I watch is. There's something that's like, that's weird or whatever. But I thought that it was a clever way for the crew to come together. I thought it was also clever that they didn't have Picard being the hero captain. That was a really good choice, in my opinion. Riker needs to be that hero captain right now. He needs this. It was his ship, his role. So when Riker is giving that like speech to the crew, guys, we've got a plan. We're going to try to get out of here. It's going to be dangerous. It's not the tropey thing that they could have done where Jack, like, here's his dad, give a nice heartfelt speech. And that's part of why Jack wants to get to know his dad. No. That was Riker. They're giving Riker the role of father and head figure, and Picard the role of, do you want to be buds? Like, what do you want to do here? I think that's really smart that they're not forcing that onto Picard's character, because I think it would be
that would just push Jack away. Not
only that, I think it would break some of how they've built it. And of course, they can do whatever they want. This is their character to play with. But the writing, to me, really reflected the care with which they're going about this very sensitive topic. And there's many sensitive topics in this episode. The writers are going about it really well. And I feel like after writing something like this, that I can just imagine them all being like, man, this is some good shit, guys.
You got to be proud of it.
I hope they are, because I really liked it.
It feels original. Like the estranged father-son thing has been done, but this felt really genuine and original. I loved how casual they were. It's like, let's swap some stories, and you can, if you need to explain it away, you can. They sold the fact that we have a few hours left. We don't have a plan, so what's the point of ignoring each other? But even if Jack had said, I don't want to do this, I think Picard would have respected it.
Yep.
And I love that admission that, I need this. I need this connection with. It was really powerful. I loved it.
I also had some fun laughs in this one. Obviously, Shaw just killed me in this episode.
Oh, Shaw's just
his snarkiness,
insanely funny.
He's like if I had a devil on my shoulder, I'm pretty sure it would be like a Shaw type character. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And then there's like things like just little things. Like, I know that they kind of went for some humor that didn't work for me. Like Picard and Jack's conversation where they're talking about Picard losing his hair. Like that didn't hit for me, but it was cute. I get it.
Yeah.
But some of the humor that I did really enjoy. Oh crap! I just lost it. It just went away, like out of my brain. There it goes.
No.
Yeah.
Sure.
No.
Humor.
It was humor related for sure. For Shaw.
For Shaw.
For Shaw. Oh, I remember. I don't think it was like intended humor, but it really delighted me when Picard tells the story of his friend Jack Crusher, and he even is able to tell Jack that he would have named Jack Crusher as well because of this. And so we get to hear the story for the first time, but then at the end he's like, "Wait, you've heard this story, haven't you?" And it was just this adorable, like, a little exchange. That wasn't like a ha 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 moment. It was like oh, that's cute, where there was a depth of, Jack has heard the story many times, and then they bring it back around with Riker being like, yeah, I've heard that story too.
Yeah. I've heard this one too.
So I thought that was funny. It's like a little wink and nod that these characters live in a universe where this would have been something that Jack would have heard long before now from his
every
mother.
Cocktail party.
Yeah, I like that.
I love it. Back on the humor, like, Shaw kills it in every single scene, every single line that he delivers. As soon as, like, it's the lack of fucks that he gives, and they even go to the effort of explaining why he has such a lack of fucks. And when Seven walks into his quarters, like, not even that. She's bit, and he's just like, don't come. Don't come. Don't come. Fine, come in. And I just love that. He's like, oh, bang up job your heroes are doing with my ship. Love the view. Like, just in the face of death, I hope I would be the same snarky person.
You are.
So, thank you. So funny. And I adore him so much. And his the way he swoops in and dominates a scene, like when he comes in and he does the explanation for why he hates Picard. It makes complete sense. As soon as he said the star date, I was like, oh, it's Wolf 359.
It's true. Shit. That was an interesting moment. Talk about people who are fucking Star Trek nerds. We're watching this show, honestly, and I'm like, Shaw, interrupts the conversation about Jack Crusher with Jack and Picard. And it's like, well, do you know about this? And he names a star date. And Ian's like, oh! And I'm just like, oh my God. Just the star date.
4-3 something. So I knew when he said 4, that was the giveaway for me. I was like, oh, it's because I can't remember the rest of the star date. And I'm not entirely sure he got the right star date, but I'm pretty sure he did. But anyway, when he said star date 4, that means that it took place during The Next Generation. So I was like, yeah, it's Wolf 359. It has to be. That's why he has a Borg boner. Yeah, love that so much. And it makes sense. Thousands of people died. It makes sense that this is why
11,000 people died.
Yeah, and 40 starships, like tons of people were assimilated.
Was the Battle of Wolf 359.
359, yeah. It's big.
I wrote that down.
Big
one.
One.
He said, did your old man ever tell you about the time we first met on the USS Constance? And you were just like freaking out.
Oh, I love it. So I didn't know about the Constance, but when he said we met and Picard didn't remember him, I was like, oh, okie dokie, this makes sense. Nice. It does a lot of work. Like Wolf 359 does a lot of backstory work. And that scene with the torpedoes firing and the phasers going off and the shouting in the background for his memory was so well done.
Powerful.
Really, really subtle. And just, he's suffering with PTSD. He is traumatized, understandably, by it, and he hasn't got past it yet. So good.
Yeah, that I wrote that down as it was happening, like in parentheses, that you could hear the audio from that episode, and just knowing that they had it was so powerful. Yeah, and they even played that.
Loved it.
And even still, like, so yeah, they're gonna give Shaw a little bit of background, and maybe that bothers some people that they're giving Shaw like a little bit of this, PTSD and this anger, like that. He obviously has been trying to work on for a minute, because it was even brought up in a psychological evaluation from that other captain, Captain Vatic or whatever. So that's interesting. But the cool thing that they're doing is that they also bring around his engineering in this episode, and they use the humor to do it. And that the biggest laugh aloud moment for sure. In that moment, Shaw calls himself a dipshit from Chicago, and he's saying like, yeah, like I'm just a dipshit from Chicago, and now I'm lucky number 10. It was really powerful, and it was such a moving scene. And then whenever Picard shows up at Shaw's door with Seven because they need his help, Picard has the best the best line maybe in this entire episode. What do you think?
Oh, easily. Like it might be the best line of any episode that we've reviewed.
He says, "I do need your help, despite the fact that you are indeed a dipshit from Chicago." Again, Picard says
so
fuck
matter of fact
in this episode. He says dipshit in this episode, and I'm like, bring it, Star Trek. Show us that our heroes can curse. Thank you.
So someone on Twitter criticized heavily last week that somebody swore, and it was.
They're not gonna like this episode.
So Dave Blass replied to his tweet saying, "You're gonna want to skip next week." Because the guy was like, "I really like the show, but I still hate the swearing." And he's like, "I get it. You're gonna want to skip next week." Oops. But people swear. Language happens. Swear. The only reason we didn't swear back in the day is because it was on a network television, and you couldn't even say crap, or you could barely say hell in the original series. That's how like puritanical and bullshit it was. Of course people swear. Jesus Christ. Fucking hell. Of course they swear. Jesus.
You okay?
Anyway.
No, listen, I have gone on my own personal arc of trying to understand my relationship with cussing. And I love swearing. I have a
fuck it.
I feel like there's just certain words that make more sense for my vocabulary, and then being raised the way that I was raised, you just didn't. Maybe that's one of the reasons I like it so much, because it feels dirty, naughty. I don't know.
Getting a little insight into the ambassador's character there.
It's like my chaos, my pushing the boundaries of like what is and isn't okay.
Fuck this
And
shit.
then I was in radio for a long time, and you certainly don't curse on radio. And then the world of podcasting really blew up for me, and I found myself really enjoying listening to people who just were unapologetically themselves and continue to experience success. And I kind of just faced the big old fear of being judged and stepped out and like, you know what? I just want to be me. I want to be me, and I'm a cusser. So watching Picard curse, I was like, oh my God. So like on one little shoulder is my Picard angel, on the other shoulder is my little Shaw devil, and I'm super happy.
Yeah.
So I like it. I like it. I think it gives them dimension, and I think it also just shows the progression of character. Like people curse, and that's okay to show. This episode really had a lot of interesting representation in that way. It was really complicated, and it's like emotional. Just the way that it was emotional. Anyway,
I totally agree, and it's a great way to get Shaw back in the game as well. It's like, hey, nobody knows this shit better than you.
Right.
Get in there, Grease Monkey, and help us out. And I love it. Makes sense. I love it so much.
It did,
and it gave a little bit of extra depth to, because I'm a nerd, the refit process. So one of the criticisms has been that the Titan A doesn't look anything remotely like the Titan, the original. Like, it is a completely different class of ship. And I do. Terry Matalas has given some great explanations for this online, which is that after the shipyards were destroyed, which we saw in season 1 of Picard, it wasn't just like the ships that were blown up, it was materials, and some materials are extremely hard to get by. So the refit process has to be a bit more creative. So they were using the bones of the Titan, and instead of scrapping it, they replaced pretty much everything and rebuilt it. But the core of the ship, the wiring, the circuitry, the bits underneath the shell are still the Titan. It's just a new refit process. And they refer to that in the episode. And Shaw is just like, yeah, you're confused because everything in the guts of the ship is a lot older than you were expecting. I love that. I love that so much. It's just those little nerd things just allow me to be in the universe a little bit more. I love it.
There is something to be said about these episodes. This one certainly crammed a lot into this time frame, and maybe I feel that more because we were not cutting over to the Rafi Wharf time, so we sat inside the ship and had to come up with problem solving in all these unique ways, and then they fit it together really interestingly too, where it's not like they just had one conversation with Shaw and then they came up with they came up with a decision, they came up with an idea. It builds like all these little tiny sections, and then it comes together. So to that I was able to sit back, watch, see what they wanted to do. I was trying to kind of figure it out a little bit, and I kind of thought I knew where I was going to go a couple times and didn't go there, which was fun. Like I thought that the Captain Vadic was going to actually save them. We haven't talked about that at all. Can we talk about Captain Vadic now?
Yeah, I had one before we depart from that. I had one little last thing about the Shaw doing Wolf 359 stuff. The other beautiful organic thing about that scene is that it unites Jack and Picard, because suddenly Jack is like defensive of his father and saying, hey, that's not fair. And whether that's just as a fellow human or fellow being, that's not fair. He was a Borg. That is not his fault. He didn't go out there and kill a ton of people. There's not really much he could have done to avoid that. This is an unfair argument. And it just brings Jack and Picard a little bit closer together against Shaw. So yeah, I really, really well put together scene. But yes, Vadic, I was right. The Shrike was supposed to get them out of the nebula. I still don't understand why she didn't act sooner, or why she didn't do something else.
Because she hadn't cut her hand off yet, dude.
Yeah, I know, but I was right for the wrong reasons, or I think I was wrong for the right reason. But we do find out that Vadic is a changeling.
Is she?
Yes, she's a changeling. 100%.
Okay, I'm so
100%.
fucking confused. Here's what I saw. I saw someone cut off their hand in a little bowl.
Yeah.
And then and then it took the form of a Max Headroom-esque head kind of thing that talked to her and said, no, you do what I want. And then it became part of her body again. And I was thinking, is she like a host? Is she?
No, it's the
a weird symbiotic thing going on.
It's this great link thing. They're always connected stuff. So they'll be tapping into some connection that they have that spans the galaxy. And this is a new thing. This isn't, unless I'm missing something, this isn't something that we saw in Deep Space Nine.
Okay.
But I'm pretty sure she's a change.
What kind of a changeling would need to cut off part of itself to talk to itself? I'm just kind of curious about that.
It's a weird bit of science. I would love to hack into that and see what the logic is.
I think that I think she's sharing part of her body.
Oh, that is an interesting theory.
Like, I'm thinking that the changeling takes up like maybe the arm or like part.
Interesting.
And she can't talk to it unless it's like off of her. Or maybe it's just the hand. So she cuts it off and then it like talks to her and then she puts it back on.
I would just imagine they would be able to talk in her. It really felt like it was for us.
But
that's interesting. That's an interesting prediction.
But we wouldn't need that though. Like, I understand that the show will have to show us some things so that we know. But she's clearly afraid. And maybe it's keeping her alive. Maybe they have an agreement that it keeps her alive, because it even said, like, you're dispendable too. Like, I don't need you.
But if this changeling is there, then that means they're going to die as well if they send the Shrike in.
Maybe it's not worried about that.
Maybe they're expendable. Yeah.
Because they're expendable too.
Interesting.
Like, maybe, I don't think that the hand is the big bad, but it's part of the big bad.
Yeah.
But it's just this weird thing. Like, I don't understand why a changeling would only part of it survived. Like, I don't know how changelings work. So like, if a changeling is this huge shape of let's say a changeling fills up a 10-gallon bucket, but then part of it doesn't get back to the bucket. Does the part that did get back to the bucket become the new changeling and it's just tiny? Like a little elf?
I do not know.
A little fairy?
They can change mass, so they can be bigger or smaller. So I don't know if they would just fill the gap. I don't know how much of the changeling is left before it stops being a changeling.
Okay, so this is a mystery. This is a mystery. But I
like that as a prediction.
But we do realize that she is answering to something else. We get to see that something else
there's a higher bad guy here.
A floating hand head. And then she goes against her own survival instincts and takes her ship into the gravity well to retrieve specifically Jack again. But there was this kind of weird moment, I didn't know how to read it, where she's almost like, he fell into the well, so can't keep doing that anymore. Like, almost like she didn't want the mission to succeed in a way. It was a strange, I didn't know how to take that.
Yeah, I took that as she was being sheepish about admitting that she'd fucked up. It felt like, sorry about that. Kind of. And almost like she knows that she's going to be asked to go in there and that she can't say no to it. And she's just like, I don't want to have this conversation because I know what I'm going to be told to. It's kind of, I'm probably doing a lot of work for the writers, but that's how that's how the delivery hit me anyway.
Okay. Well, either way, we did get to see her. We did get to see her ship be disabled, but not destroyed. So she's not out of the picture just yet. So
oh, no. But let's talk about that scene. Holy shit. How cool was that? Titan is riding the wave and Riker's just like, tractor beam, throw an that is like such a Riker thing to do, is get the tractor beam and lob an asteroid at the ship. Well, it was so
he copied her, just to be clear.
To be fair, yeah.
It's such a Riker thing to do, to take credit for a really clever move from someone else.
From somebody else. But it's fine, just use their own shit against them.
It was fun.
Yeah, I loved that so much.
Fun.
So much fun.
And what a nod that fun. It already had happened and he learned, adapted, and did the same exact thing and cleverly took something from behind them and then just went and like swung it out so that they didn't have a chance to kind of know what was happening. I guess they were on a collision course too. So what was the Shrek doing? Like, just sitting there. It was weird.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess catch it as it came out of the nebula. But the visual effect I was talking about that I loved so much was Titan riding the wave of the nebula out. Like, that was beautiful. The waves that were like going into the nacelles, just surfing its way out of the nebula, was so gorgeous. That is like movie level stuff. It was beautiful. I had chills watching that, and the music that went along with it. Such an elegant, classic TNG solution. Like, riding the wave of anything is always how they get out of a nebula or some energy thing that's so powerful. They do it in Insurrection. There's this huge energy beam that's going to destroy them. They detonate the warp core and ride the wave of the warp core explosion to safety. It was a beautiful nod to a classic solution. Oh man, so well executed. Gorgeous.
We are so lucky to live in a time when we get to see beautiful things like that. on TV. They're not just for the big movies. There's something that we get to see on these shows that like the CGI stuff is affordable enough for companies to do it. And I know that, like, I know it's CBS, so they've got a lot of money, but it's still fucking cool. Like, the ships look good. The space looks cool. The special effects look cool. And that when they're doing this on the sound studio, that they're like, oh, we'll see how this looks in post. We'll see how this looks later. We don't know for sure. We have a pretty good idea.
They got an idea.
And it's also nice that when we talked to oh gosh, I just forgot his name. What's his name that we talked to that was on the sound studio, and he told us that they have like the screen set up.
Bruce Horrock.
Bruce Horrock. Yeah. So they have now also to see the backdrop, so they know what they're looking at in the distance and such. But this kind of like fun CGI, it's so pretty. It just looks so pretty because, I mean, I'll get to like the logistics of how this works here in just a second, which of course this is sci-fi and whatever. But how it
accept
looked,
any criticism on this point.
Specifically how it looked was so beautiful.
Chills. I want to rewatch it right now.
It was so beautiful. Nice. I got chills as well.
I think I'm going to have to rewatch this on Aaron's big TV.
Yeah, Aaron's TV is insane. I also just think that it's nice to see them not just have one shot of it, that they kind of show different angles and they show different ways that this energy, like how they were writing it. I feel like, a long time ago, it would have been like one shot, one thing. They might have showed the same thing 3 or 4 times because they just were reusing that footage. But here we got to see multiple angles and the crackling energy and this cool pulse wave. It's not a pulse wave, though. Let's not forget. This is contractions from an actual living being.
Come on. Let's do it.
Hey, I called it. I said it was an alive being in there.
You did. You said it was alive. We had a couple clues, but yeah, you definitely called that one.
Called that one. Just didn't know it was a fucking birth canal. And having had my own contractions in my life, I was like, this is uncomfortable.
Triggering. This isn't like Beverly timing the contraction. I was like, oh, that's when it kind of started to tick over for me. I was like, why is the doctor doing this? And that's a classic Beverly thing as well, to make an analogous. To compare it to something else.
Wait.
Not analingus.
That did not come out right.
It came out exactly right.
You can cut that out of the podcast. Just sniff it.
No
cutting. On. We're just going to pretend I did not just say that.
Yep.
Go on.
It was a very, very cunning spoonerism. So anyway, I love the science that Beverly does in this episode. She's like spitting some science. Like, Science Bev is here. I love that so much. Like,
the scene when she figures
so
it out
in this episode.
She comes and she's like, "Listen, this is a energy burst. This is how it usually would work. So it's receiving matter and then spitting it back out, but it's happening in interesting waves. So I think we've got something going on here, guys. Like, something's about to happen." And I'm like, the leap to birth is a little bit interesting for me.
In the sins.
But it's also really, I understand what the writers are doing. They're talking about the birth of something new. We even had that birth comment whenever Picard goes down to see Jack last episode when he was ill and he was coming back to life. Like, this is about rebirth. And so why not put you into the afterbirth?
Oh, God.
Of space.
Eat it up. Yeah.
I mean, we literally saw the birthing of space sperm,
Yeah.
It's just
Space
a
jellies.
lot. We saw a lot. It was a lot.
However,
but it was pretty.
It is beautiful. And it's a beautiful classic ending to TNG. Like, they mention Encounter at Farpoint, which is the 2 episodes that season opening to Star Trek Next Generation. And obviously it was going to be compared to that. So I'm glad they gave it a nod to kind of, we know what we're doing here. But it's a beautiful classic Star Trek ending to a story, is that the thing was alive. It's a new form of life that we don't know. And it was just a beautiful, hopeful thing that it's not all doom and gloom. There is still exploration happening and there's still science happening. Just a great nod to the kind of the warm, fuzzy feelings of TNG.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing that we got some deep shit to come.
Yes, we do. What else did we miss? What are do we miss any other big themes here? I'm trying to think. I think we kind of hit the rest of it. Let me look through my notes, I suppose.
So I really love the conference room shenanigans where you have a classic planning the plan in the conference room of the ship. This is where some of my favorite scenes of all time happen. It's such a comfortable place where the gathering of minds happen, and here's the problem, here's what we have against us. Here's the possible solutions. People disperse, go and do your thing. Classic TNG formula. Love it to death. And just Beverly having a seat at the table for once and having something useful to say. My goodness, they're really giving her a lot more to do. Still not enough, but a lot more to do. I love it.
Since we're in the conference room, I also really, really loved the conference table.
Yes.
It was this really beautiful interface. It was a big, massive computer, which is what it would need to be in the future when we have, and I'm trying to play the intro in the background here, so I'm sorry if my...
No, you're fine. No, we're not hearing it.
My shit's going weird, but yeah, I loved that conference table. It showed when Riker was sitting down to potentially send a difficult message to Deanna, and I was just enthralled by it. It was like, look at all these different things that it's showing, and it's so much. It would be on screens in the past, but now it's on the table too because we can't get away from our screens. They are everywhere.
Nope, screens are everywhere. You're always gonna have black mirrors wherever you go. There was one little thing that I liked, kind of back in the beginning, the opening of the episode, is Riker and the whole show is going for this metaphor of a sinking ship. And it's a sinking ship in a nebula. And I love that comparison of an actual ship at sea. So this is something that Wrath of Khan did really well, where you have this essentially submarine battle between Khan and the Reliant and Kirk on the Enterprise. And I just love that metaphor that they are losing power. They're essentially taking on water and sinking. And I just thought that was a really, really... It's really thoughtful writing. It's not careless. It's very deliberate about the metaphor that they're going for. I assume, I could be pulling that out of my ass, but the sinking ship thing was really cool.
Another thing on my notes as I'm going through was the moment between Picard and Beverly when he asks for a moment with Jack. And
oh my goodness.
And she says, like, of course. Just that really brief kind of just emotional kind of moment. They only have a few hours before they're potentially going to be dying. And Beverly just lovingly lets them have a moment because Jack kind of nodded like, yeah, it's fine. So that's cool.
She's also just like, please have a moment. Like, there's nothing I want more than you two talking. Oh, yeah, it's all.
I also thought it was interesting that for a moment there, Riker was kind of wrestling with wanting to actually sink the ship so that there was a remnant someday.
Yes. Yeah. So rather than risk blowing it up, at least we'll have the logs and people, we can say goodbye to people. Yeah, that was an interesting angle that I hadn't thought of. Like, either way we could die, but if there's a 1% chance of living, I don't want to risk the 99% chance that no one knows whatever happens. Just really interesting thought. Back on Riker, because he just got the meat and potatoes of this episode in a lot of ways. Him battling with the thought of an afterlife. I
loved that
this so much. He's just like, we've been out there. We've seen some shit, Captain. We've been to each corner of the galaxy. Galaxy doesn't have corners. And I still have seen nothing, not a single thing. He's traveled through time, countless aliens, countless belief systems, and he has seen nothing that proves there's life after death. So how much more powerful is it when somebody dies, when you have even less proof that there's an afterlife or a heaven, just a void? And he's battling with that. He's like, how can I let go of Thad knowing that he's just gone forever? Oh man, I could spend episodes dealing with that and just explaining it. Like, I'm already there, but I would just imagine there would be this even greater understanding of a lack of belief when you're faced with a universe of people that believe different things to you. And it's like, what's this one unifying thing that brings us together? And the amount of things they can prove, and yet there's still no proof for an afterlife. So I loved that so much. That did some things for me.
I also wrote down a couple things here. One of the funny quips from Shaw that I forgot was when Seven comes to him for advice about how to hunt down this person, or the changeling, and he quickly kind of changes and he's like, you know what, Seven, I underestimated you. You're going to be a great captain someday. and he's like, and this is how you would know that I was a changeling. Perfect. And she's like, oh, because you wouldn't say that because you're a dick.
Yeah.
I thought that was really fucking funny.
It's such a great moment. She's like, oh, you don't mean this. You're pretending to be a changeling. He's like, you got it.
And then this like kind of wink and nod. She's like, okay, well, I'm going to go find this residue. And he's just like, whatever. Like, he's just given up. He's resigned to just whatever. He's like, I don't fucking care. It's such an interesting
I'll still
thing.
help, but fine. He's a fascinating character.
Did you notice that Beverly was doing countdowns from starting with the number 7?
Oh, that was a beautiful transition.
And then it was
7,
5,
6. Yeah.
And it was kept kind of going down. Yeah. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah. Love that. Was a great transition from 7 walking through the corridor. I was fine with how she figured out that LaForge was a changeling. Like, it was telegraphed as heck. We knew it, but it was a nice bit of logic. And it did kind of double service of, yeah, sure. She calls me Seven because she isn't a dick.
As a sign of respect. Yeah. That was a nice callback to episodes previous. You know, that wasn't even in this episode. That was something that happened, you know, before. Well, I think they had it in the previously ons, just in case you forgot, which is annoying, but whatever. I like that too. And I also liked that they didn't try to push the audience a little bit more because we just saw LaForge on the bridge. So we didn't have to go, is it not? Like, we knew.
It wasn't meant for us. Yeah.
No,
absolutely.
It wasn't. And at the end of that moment, like, he's like, how did you know? And she explains it. And then he goes, good job. And then he just goes right back in, like, barely acknowledges it. Just a super, like, cool. Yeah, I get it. Bye.
Cool. Makes sense. Let's go. Good job. Him in the guts of the ship doing all of his wiring and stuff. I love it. Love it. I need a Titan show. When will they announce Star Trek Titan? Anyway, I've got one last final point, and this is just Beverly having a great, great line that I love so much when they're trying to convince Riker, and she says, let's do what we spent our entire lives learning to be great at. That was so good. I loved that. Like, they're all kind of acknowledging we've been in tighter spots than this. Let's at least try it. Never once have we just resigned ourselves to giving in. And sure, maybe Riker is convinced too easily and he comes up with part of the plan, blah, blah, blah. But a powerful moment. Loved it. Did things for me. Anything else, Ambassador, before we move on to
I'm checking real quick.
Slim sin section?
Quick. Very short. Farpoint was mentioned. What was Farpoint again?
Oh, Encounter at Farpoint. So that's where the space jellies came from. That's the episode that we covered before season 3 started.
Are these baby Farpoint jellies?
No, we got a good shot on them and they look different enough.
They're very luminescent.
They're just another form of life. But I think they acknowledged Farpoint because everyone's going to make that comparison.
Oh,
so it's kind of the show saying, we know what we're doing here. It's okay. Calm down.
Okay. I also wanted to say there's this moment, like, so Riker, when he was wrestling with his decision to either go ahead and sink the ship so that there was a ship remaining or try to get out somehow. There's this moment where sort of like right before he kind of reveals that he's on board for trying to pop out the nacelles or do whatever they're going to do. And he's framed by the conference room. And then there's the archway that leads into the bridge. And it's just this beautiful frame of like the silhouette of Riker. In the distance, you can see the bridge crew like at their stations. And you can kind of see silhouetted in the foreground, Picard and, you know, Beverly and everything. I just thought it was just really beautifully done. And I kind of just wanted to pause it and go, I think I want this as my screensaver. It was so pretty.
This is where I want to be.
It was just this frame of command. And then he turns around and he's like, okay, we're doing this and we're going to use the crew. And then they give the nice, you know, riveting speech about, you know, rallying the troops. And it cuts back to like Beverly, you know, her face as she's like watching her buddy, this old, these guys have been around for a long time. So to be back in the conference room, making a plan, trusting that they're going to have to be able to figure it out on the fly as needed and possibly kill everyone and still find a way to be okay with it. Like, I believed him. I believed it.
Yeah, totally buy it. Yeah, no, I totally agree. Well,
and also that Seven and Shaw are like just over there talking. She's hitting him. He's like, you know, if I was a changeling, I'd this would be a really good opportunity to.
This would work.
And it's such a great nod to storytelling. How they know that this is the normal trope: is that someone's going to come and sabotage in this room.
Of course, the changeling's going to turn up.
But it cuts away to Picard on the bridge. And I'm like, oh my God, are they insinuating that he's going to...
Just drops a little seed of, is the changeling on the bridge?
Is it? Like, yeah, because you're like, wait, where would the changeling be? And so it ends up
Picard was just with us.
Yeah, it ends up going over, you know, there. But there's just enough like curiosity about what the show is going to do, but also a wink and nod that it... Like Shaw and Seven are like, you know...
We know
if I was going to fuck up a ship, I'd do it right here, right now.
If I was writing an episode of Star Trek, this is when I would bring in the changeling to fuck with us.
And then LaForge, the fake LaForge, when they come in, asks questions like, so if we don't get the second one back on, we won't be able to warp, right? And just like, man, that was really good.
Because
they don't want to warp.
Somehow, I think I'm trying to work out how this changeling knows what the mission is, because the idea is they want the Titan out of the nebula, but not to warp away. So they want one nacelle to work and the other to not work.
They want
so
to
that the ship can be
put it
saved.
back to the Captain.
To the Shrike.
Yeah.
So somehow this changeling knows
to get it
to get the ship out. So there's something about that changeling that I'm just like, how many changelings are out there? How did it know to be on the Titan?
We didn't talk about this, and we have to. God damn it! This show is going to be so fucking long.
It always is. Go on.
We have to talk about this though.
Let's do it.
Riker gives over flight command to Picard, who then invites Jack to sit beside him. Did you like that?
Doesn't make any sense, but yes, I did.
Okay. Like it doesn't make any sense, right?
Doesn't make any sense. He's not a commissioned officer. He shouldn't know how any of these controls work, to be honest, unless they're super intuitive. But that's in the Sins. But it was a great moment of like Riker and Picard together. I mean, we're not doing much for diversity with that 3 white man command crew, but you could have had Beverly in that seat. It could have had any number of people. 7,
maybe we
perhaps,
do transition to Sins. Is this a transition
okay,
to Sins? Let's do it. Okay.
Well, with that, let's head to engineering what's left of it. For ReSInstance is futile. Battle stations, everyone.
Warning. Warp core collapse in 10 seconds.
Listen, why wasn't there somebody at that seat already? That's
2 weeks
my
in a row.
first
Can I
thing.
do the intro?
God damn it.
Could you let me do my intro? Thank you. This is the part of the show where we re-engage our sin brains and remind ourselves that no TV show is without sin, even our beloved Star Trek. I mean, who was in that seat? Who else are you going to put in that seat?
I am so confused. They say we're going to be flying blindish, so we're going to have to, use all of our resources to look around or whatever. How is there no one already in that seat doing the thing that Jack does? And if it's
They've all been relieved of duty.
I'm so confused.
They've all been relieved. It's fine. I don't know who that seat is for, actually, the third. We still don't know who the third in command is.
It's Jack now.
It is now Jack. It's a great moment. It's worth it. It is sinful as heck. There are
we get another
100 more qualified people.
Engage. We needed that.
I'm fine with him being in the seat.
That's fine.
I'm fine with 7 being off and still uncommissioned and doing things undercover. That's fine. It makes sense. But who's in the third seat and why should it not be Jack?
It's like, Jack, this is super fucking dangerous. We're all pretty much, we could die. Of course, I guess at that point in time, everything was getting charged back up. No, it wasn't. It was like, we got to navigate through some stuff. And he's like, Mark Helm, blah, blah, blah. Just wait 4 seconds. Who? What?
Yeah,
Why?
they haven't
How?
they haven't had it yet. They haven't had the full wave to get them out. It's just getting into position.
It was weird. I liked it because it looked cool, but it was like, this doesn't make any sense, does it? I don't know.
Super cinny.
Okay.
It's still, I know they had limited systems, but it still baffles me that they can even do this manually. I'm amazed that they have the wherewithal to avoid this.
Oh, that's right. Because I think that was before life support. They had to take life support all the way down to prep to be able to get out.
Yeah, So I don't know how they're doing any of it, but it's fine. It made for a great episode. And I do want to preface, we sin because we love, and it's just something we do. This show is so good. Anything that we talk about is very nitpicky. And we're not even suggesting they should do it differently. It's just fun. It's fun to talk about.
Guys, this is part of our jobs.
Pick things apart. It is literally part of our jobs. We do it
have
with
this in
love.
brain. Yeah.
We wouldn't make a podcast about something we didn't love. So, having said that, let's do the biggest sin for me, which was, I'm sorry to say, the holodeck. Hanging a lantern on it doesn't make it any less of a sin. I get it.
Yeah.
I actually like the logic.
I like the logic too.
This is a sanctuary.
Hey,
this
guys.
is a safe mental space.
Yeah.
Things are going wrong.
This is for you.
This is for you. Take a minute. However, there are less energy draining ways of doing that. Have like a bubble room or something, like have a panic room.
We have a literal bar you could go sit in. That's the other thing.
You have a 10 forward that you could use.
We could literally just go get a drink, an actual one that doesn't require any energy. Other than, I guess, a life support to keep that room breathable. But that's a gathering space. That's what they need. They said gather in the public spaces. It's
the separate power source thing as well, because you gave it the therapy explanation, which is great, but then also you didn't even have to justify the use of power, because you also said that it has a different separate power source. And I'm just like,
I just thought of something.
You tried really, really hard to make it okay.
Okay, go with me here.
Mm-hmm.
Different power system because of Moriarty. They had to do some protocols in place because of the Moriarty problem, right? Like,
that's a great idea.
They had a problem. Something happened. Very bad. Very, very, very bad things happened. And so they have a new protocol in place. What if Moriarty does show up in this season, maybe because it is on a separate cell, because it is separate somehow, that's what ends up kind of saving their butts.
Maybe that's it. They are sick of holodecks fucking with everything. So we've segregated that power system away from the main ship so that we can cut that off and it isn't tied into anything else. That's a great idea. Great solution.
There we go.
You've solved it. No longer a sin. I love it. So we'll move on from that. But yes, it did feel like it's still a big power drain considering how big the disaster is right now. But there we go. Over to you. What's your next sin?
I mean, they're in a space womb.
I don't have many.
I would just sin that for fun. Just be like
the space womb.
The space womb. Let's see. One of my sins is a fun one. So you talk about how like we sin because we care. This is like our jobs, and one of our CinemaSins standards is like, okay, like leave the fun wordplay to us. We'll take it from here because we make up those silly words. But residue was great.
Residue.
I would just be like, hey, leave the silly wordplay to us, because it's technically not a sin at all, but it's like a staple of our brand. It's just a staple of our brand, so I would do that.
Goo-doo was right there. That would be the sin.
Goo-goo.
Goo-goo-doo.
Goo-gaga. It's right there.
7, keep shooting, please. Like, she meets the changeling, shoots it a couple times.
Bing, bing, bing.
Waits for reasons and then just watches it as it goops into the bulkhead, and I'm like, shoot it!
I don't
keep shooting it.
Quite understand. Like Worf and Rafi, they're just like, oh, that didn't work. They just kill them, you know.
Bigger weapon. It's because we're not ready for it to die, but let it escape in a better way. Like, let it do some acrobatic shit or knock her out or something. I just like. 7, considering the stakes, should have vaporized that fool.
She's been given permission to murder from the captain because he didn't reinstate her so that she could go hunt this thing. And then she's just like, you know what? I want to keep hunting you. So go ahead.
This is fun. I quite like this game. This is fun. Your turn.
This is another example of us sinning the show for something that's not a sin at all. The moment when Picard and Jack are talking and Jack starts to open up and tell a story, and then it just fades out.
That was fine for me.
Wait, this is like the moment where they're connecting and you're cutting away. Is it that lackluster? Was this not going anywhere? And it probably wasn't, because now we know that Jack wasn't really trying to open up and tell a story. Yeah. But he's like, this might be of interest to you. And he's like, so there I was touching someone's antenna that was broken. And I come to find out that this is very, sensitive muscle. And I'm like, okay. What? And then it just starts fading out. And then, wait. What's the story? What's the fucking story?
It is the classic thing of, I've got the best joke ever, fade to black. Mm-hmm. You never have to write the best joke. You don't have to write the anecdote. You just fade away. But I also get it. Like, they're just swapping stories. It's to show that the conversation carries on. I get it. I don't know that we needed more, but it is, perhaps a little bit silly. I have something that is going to undo something that I said this is also a good thing and a sin thing. It's Shaw being mad about Wolf 359. I'm sinning it because it's now become internally cliche that to do this does the heavy lifting of a backstory for Shaw without having to create anything new. And I'm not even saying they shouldn't have done it, but it is easy. Like, they did it with Sisko as well. The very first episode of Deep Space Nine, Picard is congratulating Sisko on taking command of the space station and that he has a big job and he doesn't envy him. And Sisko basically says, I don't care. I don't like you. I don't need a pat on the back from you. I don't need anything from you, because Sisko's wife was killed during Wolf 359 as well. And Sisko blames Picard and he's like, fuck you, fuck everything you did. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. I don't like you. Now, this is about 4 years after, 3 years? 3 years after the battle, so it's more fresh. But it is becoming an internal cliche of give a character a backstory because of Wolf 359. Make them hate Picard because of Wolf 359. It makes sense. It would happen. I'm not saying it's wrong, but it is an easy thing to pull on for a backstory now. But I still love it.
And watching Picard walk away, like, no, I get it. I just better go.
I've heard this
I am
before.
the representation of your trauma. I have nothing to say here. How powerful is that? He doesn't even apologize. It's just like, I'm just going to go.
Not going to defend it. An apology isn't what you need. I'm just going to remove myself because I am painful for you, so I'm going to leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love Picard.
Really, really good.
I would probably just send the backlit bucket, Seven's backlit bucket search.
the reverse gooing?
It's like,
engineering?
I totally get it. You need to find the bucket. Why would this idiot put it in a well-lit secret cubby that if you want...
So many places to hide it.
So many dark places to hide it.
Yeah.
So many other places to put it where it's not backlit.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just send the backlit bucket.
Yeah. Get it.
And also I would just make the narrator say backlit bucket as much as I possibly could.
Backlit buckets. Yeah, this backlit bucket didn't need to be backlit as much as the bucket that is backlit has been backlit by the bucket.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, cannabis.
Pot!
So, this is quite funny because this was originally a good point, and then I moved it into sins, and then I think I've moved it back into the good points, but I'm going to sin it. It opens up on 5 years earlier, and my good point was that starting each episode with a flashback kind of gives us a bit of a comfy framework where we know each episode might open with a little bit of exposition in the past, but then we're safe for the rest of the episode, and we know that the flashback exposition has happened, and we're now in the present day. And then this episode started going backwards and forwards so much, and I was like, oh, we're going to keep doing this, fine. But then by the end of the episode, when Jack turns up, I'm like, that was beautiful. I fucking loved it. So I'm going to sin the fact that we keep having time travel flashbacks position, but in this episode, it kind of worked. Kind of like it. Just be careful with it, people.
I think the sin there is letting the haddock get cold. You know, like, you got it
completely.
Who likes to eat just, slightly
cold
warm
chips.
Fish?
They're the worst.
So
I can get away
gross.
with warm fish,
So
maybe.
fucking gross.
But the cold chips never taste good.
Like,
so that's
Picard,
nice.
again, the fun sin is, are you really going to eat that now? Like, can you just
replicate a new one?
Yeah. Get
some
something
fresh
warm.
food. I bet this happens a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I have one last one. And this is the erasure of season 2 of Picard. Gradually, step by step by step. Shaw says, forget about the weird shit that happened on the Stargazer. The real Borg are out there. Like, that is in a line. That is basically them saying, forget what happened last season. It doesn't matter. Everything is still as you know it. The Agnes Collective is totally different. The Borg still exist. Don't worry, people. It's okay. I half expected him to say Q is still out there as well, and just erase season 2 from your mind entirely. It is interesting the subtle ways that they are making the show that they wish season 1 and season 2 have been. Like, there's lots of nods with the sound effects as well. Like, the Titan has very little that's new. Basically, every sound effect is pulled or modified from TNG. The transporter room looks the same. The holodeck doors look the same. The holodeck grid flashed for a little bit, and that was the gold grid of TNG, which didn't even make it into Voyager. Or TNG, actually, for the movies. They have a different hologrid. And it's just kind of this extra level of nostalgia, which is, we're going to apologize by making this extra TNG, but I do think it's slightly at the expense of the 2400s, where I'm fine that things have moved on and things have evolved. Like, I'm fine with both, but I think we now need to be consistent about what this new Star Trek looks like and what the 2400s now looks like, and it's okay to move on. We can rewatch TNG, but I get that this is the last chance to do it as well. So I'm really, really conflicted, but there's a lot of erasure going on of previous seasons.
There's fun ways to send that too, like trying to make us forget about something that we can't forget about.
Yeah, and I get it. I love it. There's nothing more that I want to see than more TNG episodes, but we are now 25 years removed. Let's do something new. But yeah, no, I still love the nostalgia. Did you have anything else?
Nothing major. I mean, there's always little silly things that we can pop in on here and there. I mean, maybe I would do the woman discovers that they're having a birth cliche. Like, leave it up to the woman to figure out that there's womanly things. There's miracle of birth happening right now. Maybe I would possibly do that, but at the same time, they gave her, like you said, that nice scientific scene. So it's hard. It's hard to send something I'm enjoying, but
it is honestly, my last thought is that it's just a great freaking show. I love it.
Show.
With that, let's head over to the ready room for some final predictions. Welcome to the Captain's Ready Room, where we hear our predictions for the rest of the season and bask in our Q-like glory if anything we've predicted has previously come true.
We're still not sure if Jack is Borg, right?
About much or anything. So I have a prediction about this. I actually think he's a human changeling hybrid. So I think this is going to be part of the diseased Great Link, where they're still trying to find a cure. And as always, that cure is in the indomitableness of the human genome. So I wonder if, unbeknownst to Beverly, or maybe she does know. Maybe she does know that there's a cure for the Great Link, and she test tube babied Jack as well and meddled with him. This is why they were on the run. Maybe Jack is a miracle cure that she's hiding for the changelings, and that's why the changelings want.
I don't understand how any of that works. If she didn't test tube him, Picard and her.
Oh, in what I mean is in the womb, in the utero, that
like
she did experiment. Yeah, used herself as a test tube.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a big one. It's a big one.
Wow. Okay. Sure. Right. Yeah, I don't know how to feel about that, but you know what? It's your prediction. It's your prediction. I was thinking nanobites because Picard is part Borg, and it would have been in him
That's
somehow.
possible.
So it's kind of who knows?
There is that like tapping into the collective thing as well. I mean, the Great Link is very similar to the Borg Collective in that they are all connected, can hear each other's thoughts and whatnot, and they can interface with each other. So it could be again right for the wrong reasons or wrong for the right reasons.
What if, if it is about this thing? You know, if they're kind of nodding to the Captain Cigar, what's her name, Vatic, being like some kind of a host body. Maybe Jack is an accidental host body in some way, and he's just trying to fight it off. Maybe it's trying to take over or something. But they're doing something there, something very Stranger Things. They've
Something's
got
happening.
they've
Visions.
got the I don't even a veiny sort of red apocalyptic male and female voices. It's all sort of like, and door opening continues to be visually what's going on there. So who knows? Who knows?
It's interesting. I do love it. There's just not enough to put the mystery together just yet, and I think that's deliberate.
Mm-hmm.
I think they go back to Starfleet, they get told off, and then Worf asks for help, and they end up teaming up with Worf, who has more information on this mystery. Or
yeah, they're going to leave the Titan.
Gets... no, I kind of hope we stay with it. I think the Titan might get sent to assist Worf, because Worf might report in and say, it's changelings, everybody, and then Picard and the Titan are
just had a changeling situation.
Changelings thing. Yeah, team up and go and deal with it.
You guys work together.
Yeah.
Don't come in and have some counseling about your trauma, you know.
Nope.
Just
nope.
go continue to deal with it.
But I do love the idea that we're out of the nebula, and we're actually, like we said at the beginning of the episode, we have some momentum for next week to see what is happening next. Where are we going? There's a nice little bookend at the end of this episode.
Did we ever decide what weapon they're going to take from, like, what the actual real weapon was? Did we talk about that?
From the Daystrom Institute?
What's so funny?
Law.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we did. Or Moriarty.
We say this every week.
It's that one guy that we always forget about.
What? Who?
With the sword, his name.
Worf?
Nope. He's a kid.
Alexander. What? What are we talking about?
He's like a murder kid. He's like a monk.
Eleanor.
Eleanor, yes.
Eleanor, Jesus.
Yeah.
No, I think Eleanor's going to be not in this season, to be honest, unless he's in the last episode.
Poor Eleanor.
My goodness. Incredible. That's really my big prediction for the season now. I don't know where they're going to go next. Yeah, it's interesting. Jack clearly isn't finished, isn't done.
Mm-mm.
He has a mystery.
Nope. He's got the upside down world to deal with, which means 7 of 9 is actually 11.
Could be a Borg thing. It could be a Borg thing. 7 of 9 is 11. Amazing.
It could be. Like, we don't
know.
Well,
thank you for listening, everybody. We will be live next week, Friday at 12:30-ish Central Time. Come and join the discussion on Twitter, if Twitter is your thing, at CaptainSpotCS, or send us an email, captainspod@cinemasins.com, and we will answer questions and such. But until next week, I'm going to go and check on my pot to see if it has any residue in it.
And I'm going to say let's get away from our new friends, the space babies.
And live long in Podsper. Live long in Podsper.
Thanks for listening. Want to connect with the show? Our hailing frequencies are always open through captainspod@cinemasins.com. Like, comment, and subscribe on your podcast player of choice, and be sure to visit cinemasins.com.
Have I had time to pee? No. Am I hungry? Yes. Am I thirsty? Definitely thirsty. Am I also hungry? Yes. Do I have time to do? No, I don't have time. I've just gone from meeting to into the thinging, and now I'm doing and of course Captain Whittington is messaging me. What the fuck are you, Deneé? I'm on my way. It's a busy. Fridays are insane. Fridays are insane, and I love it. What's wrong with me? Oh, look, there he is. He doesn't see him here. Now he sees him here. There he is. Hi, I've been here the whole time.
No, you have not. Ambassador, you have a punishment. You must listen to all of Worf's Klingon opera, but in reverse.
Isn't that just what it is?
All going to be played backwards.
Isn't that just what it is, though? It's just backwards?
What, as standard?
Yeah.
Okay, then the backwards of that.
Okay.
So forwards.
Cool.
I like the butterfly in your hair. That's
so
pretty.
I found this massive clip at the store, and I couldn't resist, so I got it. I mean, this is
really pretty.
It's obnoxiously
That's huge.
Yeah. Look how.
That's a great description for it.
And so I got it, and I knew the second that I got it that it was going to become an issue with
headphones, life,
Iris.
living, the car.
No, she saw it, and she was like, "I want that. That's mine." And so this morning we had a huge situation over this.
Yeah.
She started crying tears. I think they were actually genuine because it's so big and so
it's a pretty shiny
diamond,
thing.
iridescent. And she's like, but I don't want it for my hair. I want it as a toy. And so like, oh my gosh. I'm like, well, I got this for myself, but I'll share it with you. No, I want my own. Okay, well, you're going to need to save up some money and a whole 4. I'm going to go back and get another one. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to go back today. I'm going to get another one. She's going to have her own hair clip.
I have a little story. You might notice there's a gap missing on my shelf. Wait, what's there?
No, it's
there.
not. But it's not just any shelf. It's your ship shelf.
It's my ship shelf. Ow. The question is, did the person responsible for knocking the ship over, did they act as a human should have acted?
Okay, I know you live alone.
Yes.
So the person responsible for knocking it over, unless there was someone in your office professionally, like a plumber, did the plumber knock it over? Did they offer to replace it?
Didn't even acknowledge it had happened. This happened on when did it happen? When were they here?
This happened days
Monday?
ago, and you haven't looked yet?
I haven't looked.
Oh,
it's
no.
Schrodinger's starship. If I don't look, it's not broken.
Which one
Nothing
was
I can
it?
do about it now. Let's roll back to the beginning of the story. I haven't had any heating for a little while because they can't figure out why. My boiler isn't working. And each plumber that's come round has been like, where's the flume for it? And that's the bit that kind of vents all of the hot air outside. And annoyingly, it's not in my garden. It's in my neighbour's garden. Because this house was built like 120 years ago. And then they split it in half. But they didn't split the garden where the fucking house was split in half. So part of my house is actually in their garden. Part of my external wall. So anyway, they can't get to the flume. So the only way you can see it is out that window, which happens to be right next to my ships. So we open up the window, and it's partly my fault because the windowsill is a bit messy, so he has to kind of lean and just elbows the ship and knocks it off and doesn't say a word. And then I don't acknowledge it. He doesn't acknowledge it. He just looks for the flume and then says, yep, okay, that's fine. And then just leaves my office. And I'm like, I'm just going to shut the door.
Have you not been in your office for days? Like, where is it?
No, I have. It's down there in the corner. Should we do it now, or should we do it with the audience?
No. We're not doing that before a show. I don't want it to ruin your mood. Yeah, do it right now. Do it. We've got to find out. Like, now that we're talking about it, the audience at home is going to be like, no, I need to know.
They need to know if it's broken or not. And it's, to answer your earlier question, it's the Equinox, which is really interesting considering it's probably had the roughest time of any ship, like, in the world. So, in the Star Trek world, the Equinox gets chucked into the Delta Quadrant earlier than Voyager got sent to the Delta Quadrant. But the Equinox is just a little science vessel, and it isn't equipped to deal with anything in the same way that Voyager is. So they get like beaten the fuck up. They lose half of their crew in the first week. They have like a huge amount of casualties. And then when Voyager finds them, they've started melting aliens to feed their warp core.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Did you just...
Yeah.
I'm kind of learning as the show goes on to just accept it and just move on.
Yeah, there's these special aliens that they manage to trap, and then it's like NOS for their warp drive, and then Janeway gets a bit pissy. But it's one of my favorite ships. It's so pretty. Like I love the design of the Nova class. Just adore it. So yeah, I guess we'll find out if that's broken or not.
You're really gonna look now?
Oh, do we do it now or with the? Do we do it now or with the audience?
I think you do it now, right? No.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
the live audience would love... Okay, no, we're doing it now.
with the live audience?
You glanced.
I can't see it yet.
Okay.
Well, should we see if they notice that there's a ship missing?
Yeah.
They should notice.
Yeah. Let's see if they notice.
Let's see if they notice.
Okay.
And if not, we will still reveal it. So by the end of the outtakes, you will know if the Equinox is broken or not. So, stay tuned. How are you, Ambassador? That was my week. Well, I've just avoided a problem.
Yeah. Well, that was a really interesting insight into your like the psychology of Ian.
Because here's my logic. Eagle Moss are out of business. I can't replace it.
You can't replace your ship.
Not yet. I mean, there is a company that is going to take over distributing the models and maybe making them, but there's no guarantee I'll ever be able to replace the Nova. It wasn't a huge hit, I don't think. It's one of the lesser known ships. It's not a hero ship.
Ian.
So yeah.
I'm really nervous for you.
It's fine.
Okay.
We'll find out, won't we? One way or another.
Yeah.
I don't think I changed the star date last week.
Stardate boop bop beep bop boop boop bop boop beep bop beep bop boop. Stardate boop bop
Either
beep.
that or I gave the wrong one.
Stardate boop beep. Somebody should call you out on that.
Oh, as if anyone's keeping track.
Stardate boop bop beep bop beep bop boop. Somebody could.
I know there is one. If anyone's, I know a lot of new people have joined us for season 3 of Picard. If you go through the back catalogue of the episodes, there are at least 2 where I know I fucked it up. And I'm just like, don't call me out, don't call me out, don't call me out.
Oh, I got emails about it.
You got emails? Why did they email me?
Because I'm the ambassador.
Asshole.
Yeah, they didn't.
It's not even going to my superior. That's going to someone that doesn't even work in the same company as me. I bet you could burp right now.
I can't burp on command.
Can you not? Oh.
No. Can you burp on command?
Deneé, you just asked the person who medically can't burp
I'm so
if they can burp on command.
I'm so
Dick
sorry.
move.
I'm so sorry. I didn't.
Dick move.
Shit. God.
Fans of Behind the Sins will understand that. Yeah, you fall away into the background.
Oh God.
Wow.
I'm sorry. This is very personal.
Wow.
I'm so sorry. God damn it.
Multiple podcasts this has been mentioned. For those that do not know,
Fuck.
Aaron, Deneé's best friend Aaron wondered why I never burped in front of him, and he thought it was a politeness thing because I'm English. And I said, no, it's not. I've never been able to burp. Some people just can't burp. And he was like, no, it's not. Everyone burps. It's not just a some people thing. And this led him down a rabbit hole because he likes to research things. And it seems like I have a condition where a muscle has not developed enough, and it prevents me from forcing out air in a way that creates a burp, which creates very painful inside things and throat things and chronic hiccups.
I'm
So, yeah.
so sorry. I did not mean to
Thanks,
be
Deneé.
insensitive. I am sorry. I'm a bad friend. I apologize.
Get off my shit.
Oh, no. Man, I feel like shit. I'm sorry. Oh, my God. We have so many fucking comments to look at. I'm so excited, but I have one that I want to do right away. How many buckets could be backlit if a backlit bucket could be backlit? As many backlit buckets as a bucket could be backlit if a backlit bucket could be
Nice.
backlit.
How many buckets could be backlit if a backlit bucket could be backlit? As many backlit buckets as a bucket could be backlit. You just dick. Oh, JCD, what's happened? Meanwhile, I'm laid up like Shaw today. Pulled the hell out of my back and slipping and falling out. Oh, I'm so sorry. I should not be laughing.
You shouldn't be
He
laughing.
fell down on the ice.
That's not something that you're supposed to laugh at, dude.
Fucking funny.
It's not fucking funny.
Sorry, at some point my charm was substituted for being an asshole.
This was brought up by Rando Dave, and then I forgot to put it in my notes for the for the sins of the show, but I had it written down and deleted on accident. So thank you, Rando Dave, for saying this. Hair loss is passed by the mother's genes anyway, right?
Good
I
point.
thought about that when I
Great
was
point.
watching. I was like, why is he worried about his dad's his baldness? Because, and also it's the future. You have bald hair because you want it, right?
Yeah, come on. Could just be a choice. He could get it replaced if he wanted to. That was actually one of the reasons that Gene Roddenberry was reluctant to cast Picard. And originally, Picard, they put a wig on him for one of his screen tests because Gene Roddenberry thought it was unbelievable to have bald people in the future.
Here are some notes from Slab. 1, Shaw's healed. Why is Riker in command?
Because he's not healed. Slab, come on. He's fucking limping around the ship. And you just answered your own question. He's drugged. He is high on painkillers. He can't be in command.
But he's drugged. They don't have non-narcotic treatments for the pain in the future? That's
I think the definition of getting rid of pain is a narcotic.
Here's a question from Link. Do any other Borgs get names?
The only ones that we know of are the Hugh collective Borgs. When Hugh disappeared and rejoined the ship, and then Lore found the ship, he started naming Borg. So we had Trosus and Croesus and like some other Latin names. They're the only ones that we know of.
Let's see. This one is a theory from Rando. My theory is that the babies were born as a result of those space jellyfish that Picard rescued in Farpoint, and so it was all Picard's fault anyway.
Exactly. This is all, the nebula is his fault. Everything is Picard's fault.
Number 6 from Slab was, 6, did Shaw come into the holodeck from another entrance? This was a great question.
No, he was lurking. He was already in there.
He like
lurking
snuck
in the corner.
in somehow? No, because Picard, they activated it. They activated it, which looked cool, by the way. I forgot to mention that. I thought that looked really cool. Like we were inside the holodeck, and then they opened the doors, and it was like,
yeah.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it was activated already, wasn't it? I don't know. Good point. Nick says, I thought the substitute for charm was the heartbreaking moment where you realize that Shaw's survivor's guilt rivals his own hatred for the Borg.
Yeah. And he knows he's broken. He knows he's out of line and he's kind of out of control.
It was really, was really hard. Yeah. Ugh, I like Shaw. The cursing, on the topic of cursing, Nick says, I think people have a problem with it because Star Trek 4, Whales, made it canon that they don't curse anymore in the future. Kirk had to explain it to Spock and they were all bad at it.
I think it was that they curse less. It's going to be a tricky one to argue either way, but I think they curse less in the future. And when they went, it's more of a nod that in LA in the 1980s there was a lot of cursing. I think it's all around them. But I'm doing a lot of work for the show. Oh, well done, Josh. There seems to be a huge space on the third shelf behind Ian. What might go there, I wonder? Now, Josh, well done. When you get to the outtakes of the show for the week, we made an agreement that we would not address said gap unless the chat mentioned it. So, hey, now we're going to address it. So, really brief explanation is that I had a plumber visit the other day, and long story short, they had to look out that window. There's a window over there, and to check a pipe or something, like an exhaust thing. And he knocked over my ship. The funny part is that he didn't acknowledge it. He knocked over my ship, and he didn't acknowledge that anything had happened at all. Like clang, 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 and nothing. So I haven't looked. We decided that we would wait until the live show, and if anybody notices it, live in front of everybody, I will find the ship and the stand and see if it's broken. So you can watch live to see my reaction to my little ship getting broken. The stand is in 2 pieces, but that's okay. It's meant to be. It seems to be all right. Stand is okay. These are the hardest things to find. Nice. Now, the ship.
Okay.
I think it's okay. Success.
Yay! I have been waiting for this since we started the show like an hour and a half ago.
Fuck yeah.
I've been so worried.
It's okay. I think it survived. It's a tough little ship. One of my criticisms of this model,
that's fun,
is probably the reason that it survived. So this is good. The front of the ship is like solid. However, the nacelles are like this bendy plastic.
Bendy.
So I was really annoyed when I got this model because I was like, the Enterprise D is like solid and my other ships are solid. But this one, it's less so, and I think that's why it survived. New York.
Making pancakes, making bacon pancakes, make a picking, and we'll put it in the pancake. Making pancakes, that's what it's gonna take, bacon pancakes.